book lovers. Welcome to Seriously Sandra, where we get real about books and the brilliant minds behind them. Today, I am super excited to talk to Judy Hutson. We're going to dive into her stories, her plots, and all her writing magic. So grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's chat books. Welcome, Judy.
Hi, I'm so happy
Hi.
to be here with you, Sandra.
Oh my gosh. I have to tell you, we were in a group together and you'd said your debut novel was coming out and urged us all to read it. And I was like, uh-huh. Cause my TBR pile is wicked, right? And so it's just like, oh my gosh. And I started it and it was so much fun. So can you tell people what Spy Notes is about? I mean, I could tell it, but I want it coming from you.
Well, Spy Notes is around Johnny Harrington. She's the protagonist, and she is a music publicist for a very iconic, world-renowned music artist. And she's on this world tour with him. Meanwhile, her side gig is tracking down this international drug ring, which she suspects is behind the whole point, behind her very close friend that she loves is missing. So she
Oh,
believes the spy ring is actually the cause of him missing. So during this world tour, she is tracking them down and finding clues.
well, you know what I loved about it? It starts in Barbados. And
Mhm.
then it goes to London and Paris. So we were traveling in this book. Can you tell why you chose Barbados as the premise and the island for it?
Well, Barbados is my family's background. So, of course, I have a love of Barbados. That's my ancestral home. So, I had to start it there. I mean, I'm just biased. I think it's one of the most beautiful islands in the world. So, I wanted everybody to be there with me on this journey.
So you brought some Bayesian roots to it.
Yes, Bajan roots.
That's awesome because you talk about that, the island a lot and your main character, Johnny, going back there to rest and recharge, in the book. Do you do that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's like I said, when I go, that's my ancestral roots, and I feel my ancestors when I go there. That's actually one of the places that I actually feel I'm totally at home.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, you know, Johnny is also, she was, what is it? A music
Publicist.
coordinator?
No,
Publicist,
publicist.
the
Hmm.
publicist in
Hmm.
the novel. And I think you have some of that roots. Can you tell everybody a little bit about your background and how that like blended into the book?
Yes, well, I was always also a music publicist, and I've worked with people like Keith Sweat and LL Cool J and Jill Scott, among others. So, that was my idea of, oh, well, a music publicist could actually be a spy because, you get to go to places and different parts of society, and no one would suspect someone like that.
It's so true because there were times I have to tell you that I'm going, you're gonna get caught. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. You're gonna get caught. You have no training. You have no training. Yeah. And I'm
But
reading it just like, no.
yeah, but people, that's even more real life because people have to understand that spies aren't like the James Bond and people like that. I mean, there are people like James Bond that has that training, but
Mhm.
a lot of spies are just regular everyday people, but they have certain skills or they have certain access to different areas, and that's why they're
Um,
recruited.
oh, okay. So you mean I might have a new profession coming up?
Never
If they
know.
have one for readers that just have to sit and read, that would be awesome because that was my thing as I was reading it. And, her just natural wanting to help because she's, as you said, looking for her friend. And I'm thinking, who who does this? Who goes off and does this? And I just kept wondering, are you going to get caught, sweetie? Oh my gosh, I'm terrified for you. While she still has a job, she had a job to do.
Hmm. That's right. But as I said, Josephine Baker was one of my inspirations for this book because Josephine Baker, who was an iconic, world-renowned star at her time, she was like one of the most popular women in the world
Hmm.
during World War II. She was actually a spy for the French resistance. And
Was she really?
she was really a spy for the French resistance. What she would do, she would take information from one place to another while she was touring. And of course, she got a lot of information from the Germans because she would tour and, they loved her. And she would be at those parties and she would find out things. And she would keep the notes actually among her music, the leaflets of her music, and pass that along. So
Really?
she was so incremental in helping win the war that she was given a state funeral in Paris. And she's actually, her body, I think it was in 2023, was um then interred into I think it's the pantomime in the, I forgot the name of it, but it's a huge place in Paris where people, like all of the some of the most important people in French history are buried there. And she's there also. She's the only Black woman that's actually buried there.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
I love when I talk to authors. I learn something new. And you know what? I love Josephine Baker. And in fact, on my reading pile is a biography or memoir about her life that I've been stacked to read. So now I'm curious. Now you're gonna make me want to read this even faster,
She's
to
fascinating.
know that.
And
That's
Errol Flynn too. Errol Flynn,
pardon?
who Errol Flynn, he was
Uh-huh.
a movie star, like I think in the 1930s and 40s. He
Hmm.
was a spy also.
Really?
That's
And
right.
it makes so much sense because as you said, like even in your book, she was able to, she was a beautiful woman, so nobody's paying attention, so she could play the beauty card.
Mhm.
And as a publicist, she already has somebody she's already focused on. They know she's focused on doing that. That makes perfect sense. How so?
Mhm.
Going back a little bit, what inspired you? Like, how did you create? Like, this is such an awesome book. Like, I want to know. Let's go into your mind. Like, how'd you?
Okay. Well, first of all, I love James Bond. I love the James Bond movies, the whole Ian Fleming, because he's going to glamorous places and, spying. And when I watched it, I always thought, you know what? Why can't a Black woman do that? Wouldn't it be
Mm,
interesting if a Black woman, I mean, first of all, they didn't have, to this day, we don't have a Black James Bond. Remember, it was supposed to be Idris Elba. And
yeah.
and then they had, I forgot her name, the last James Bond, they had this British woman who actually, Black British woman, she became a 007, but she actually gave it back to Daniel Craig before he died. But anyway, they're supposedly, hopefully, they might be a Black James Bond. But that's what really inspired me because I said, you know what? And then, remember what Toni Morrison said? If you don't see the book that you like, you should write it. And that's what I did.
Uh-huh.
You know what? I'm gonna make this character. I'm gonna make the character that I want to read. So that's why I did it.
I love that. And it's so true. Like you wanted to read this spy character and and how come have it come out of that. I think that is amazing to be able to do that because yeah, there should be more the black spies and how's it coming across. And I too was rooting for Idris Elba, I have to tell you.
Yeah. I know.
It would have been amazing had it been him,
Yes.
and maybe it'll come in time. So,
Hmm.
so as you were thinking about that, and then so you use that plus your music roots to build this story. Is
Right.
that is that where that went?
Exactly. And then I decided, yeah, well, because, and of course, like I said, I always admired Josephine Baker. She was always in the back of my mind. So that's what made me think, okay, yeah, that's an artist who's touring all over the world. Nobody suspects them, because first of all, um, whenever you're with celebrities, even other celebrities are in awe. So it's like, they just don't think of any other thing because they're so in awe of the celebrity and the celebrity is there with them. So you can get away with a lot if you're, the assistant or the publicist with that celebrity.
That is so true, because when you in the book, and I'm watching her with her celebrity being the handler, it really made me like curious as to like and in awe of like all the pieces and everything that they have to go through to handle their celebrity. And so
Hmm.
then you add the spy component. It just absolutely made a lot of sense to me. It was fun. It was just a fun, and you took me away to an island, and then you transported me into London, and then I went to Paris. I was like, yes. And I didn't even have to leave my living room. And
And
I
that's exactly what I wanted. I want readers to be able to know that when they read my books, they don't have to, I'm taking them on a journey. They don't have to worry about going through security or being in the middle seat. They are going to relax, and I'm taking them on the journey.
And then we even had tea at the Ritz in
Yes.
London. We went for high tea. So I was so in awe. So all along the journey, I was like, yes, I was living this decadent double a life through your book. It was so fun. It was such a joy.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad.
So how did as you said you came up with this and you started thinking about that, and just to applaud you as a debut author, and I will say, you're in rarefied air because especially here in America, 82% of the American public want to write a book and less than 14% do. And they
Wow.
say that it's a habit, and what so tell me about like your writing journey. How did you like walk us through a little bit about that?
Well, the writing journey was not a straight route because I mean, I had this idea over 20 years ago and
Really?
yeah, and started it and then, that was before self-publishing or anything. So I started it and, I even sent it out in those days when you had to actually mail stuff out to query and whatever. And then I put it down, life gets in the way. I got married, had a child and all of that. And then, I would look at it every once in a while and no, and then I put it back. But then it was the pandemic that really made me say,
Ah.
you know what, finish this. And especially, they were saying, oh, we were really looking now for diverse voices and all that. So I said, you know what, let me pick this book up and finish it. And that's what really made me finish it. And then, of
Oh.
course, because I started getting into the writing groups and they had more that were easily available because of the pandemic. So these are people I
Okay.
probably wouldn't have met if it wasn't for the pandemic. And that really helped me to finish my book.
How important was that writing community for you in getting the book finished?
Oh, I mean, I they're the most important. I mean, I learned so much from that writing community that I would not have been able to learn if it wasn't for the pandemic. Because it was virtual and there were people, they're in California, they're in Boston, and those were the people that I could talk to every morning, talk to during the day. And these were people who were much more experienced, who, they've written so many books, and they were so generous to give me the information that I needed. So, and I could not have finished it without them.
Wow. 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 I love that. And it's great when you have that kind of support to like keep you going.
Hmm.
So, as you know, they talk about your book being your baby. And like after you have the first baby, people ask you when's the second one. And before we started the interview, I came on, I'm like, okay, when's the next one? So tell us where like because John, this is not a one and done for Johnny, is it?
No,
Johnny, by the way,
definitely.
those who don't know, Johnny is the main protagonist, and she's just a badass little kick. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but definitely working on the second one. She'll be back on tour with Naive. That's her client. And, he's got a lot of problems still that she has to deal with.
By
Besides,
the way, can I just say, naming of your client, of her Johnny's client, Naive, it was just so cool. It really did crack me up because, you know, it just made me laugh. Where would you come up with that name?
it's so funny because I said to my son, I said, listen, I gotta have this iconic R&B artist. What name should I come up with? And so he said, why don't you just do um Evian backwards? So I said, oh, naive, okay. So that was my son's
Are
idea.
you serious? That is so funny.
So I had to give him the credit for that. My son gave me that.
And and by the way, viewers, naive is not naive by
No,
any stretch. He's,
no.
I won't ruin the plot or anything, but he's a little bit of a bad boy R&B artist, and Johnny has her work cut out for her. And Johnny has her work cut out for her, and she's also now this spy thing, which was just like,
Yes.
so what are the where bleh, yeah, what trips or where's Johnny going next?
Well, I believe she's going to actually have to go to Italy at one point in the next trip. So
Mm.
she'll be in Italy. She probably will be back in London, because she's gonna still do a European tour, but she'll do Italy. She'll probably be back in London, maybe Paris, but she's definitely going to be in Italy this time. She's met
I
her.
love it. Okay, because keep telling you, you took us on. We were in Paris, we were in London, we went to Barbados. So now we're going to go to Italy. Is she going to go back home to Barbados?
Yeah, she has to go back to Barbados. Yes. And
Ah,
that's going to be the start of another problem is going to start because of Barbados.
because you kind of left a little bit of a cliffhanger with some of the characters, and you teased a couple of things, and I had to tell you, I was mad at you because I'm like, I wanted the character to, like, and you were so nice to me because I, I mean, you did an awesome job, which I guess that is the writer's job, is to make the reader want more, right?
Exactly, exactly. And even make your own idea. Yeah, that's what you want. So then when you see the character again, you'll be like, oh, okay.
And I'm ready to be jumping on her tour bus and going wherever Johnny's going, because I know that she's taking me for this super, super wild ride.
Yes, yes. In the next book, there's going to be a billionaire involved in this tour too. So it's going to get very political. It's going to be quite
Ooh.
more complicated this time.
All right. All right. Is that coming out at 25 or 26?
I wanted to come out before 26. So, by the end of 25.
By the end of 25. All right. So I'm definitely going to keep my eye out because I want to know Johnny's latest, where her latest adventures are. And you know what? To be honest, maybe naive too. Maybe I need to know a little bit about his adventures as well.
Oh
That
yeah,
might.
he definitely will have more adventures. Because I always tell people this is also like a little love letter to music publicists because
Hmm.
some of the hardest working people in the music business and they don't really get any the type of accolades that they should get. So that's why I had sent some copies to my friends that were in the music business so that they could get a kick out of it.
And what was their response? What did they say?
Well, I mean, some they were like really happy to get it. I don't know if they read it yet because a lot of them are really busy and they're, dealing with their artists.
Right.
But friends of mine that I know, one person I know, he's a publicist and he loved it. He was like, he really loved it. And
Wow.
he saw the little stories in there that I put in there that he could notice because some of the stories, especially with Naive, I try to put little inklings of different things that happen in the music business so that people in the music business would say, "Oh, wow, I remember when this happened." And of course, I'm not using the real people, but they would
Right.
know the stories.
And it was interesting because as a reader, you did take the reader thinking, oh,
Mhm.
speculating, could it be? And they were believable. Sometimes it's like fantastical and you're thinking, yeah, that couldn't happen. But no, these were seriously believable. I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved it. All right, switching topics a little bit, as
Hmm.
we're coming go. So I always love to ask authors if a library is coming and being built, or a new or and it's a library and you get to donate 3 books in your name, and of course not your books. What 3 books would you like to recommend and make sure the library had?
Hmm. That's good. What are the 3 books that I would want the library to have? Um, I would like them to have, there's a book called The Lover,
Hmm.
by Marguerite. Is it Marguerite Duras? I think her name is. I love that book. It was about this Vietnamese girl, and I think it was during the 30s, and she had taken up this older gentleman as her lover. The writing is
Uh-huh.
so beautiful. I would like that one. It was Zora Neale Hurston. Their eyes were watching God. I really like, I really liked that book. Um, And also, you know what? I liked Wuthering Heights. I actually
Okay.
loved I
Yeah.
I was so in love with the movie. I decided let me read the whole book. And the book has so much more than the movie. And
Right.
I like the classics, I just love the classics.
I love that. I love that. And, I always ask this, what's your favorite children's book?
My favorite children's book is the one that I always used to read to my son. I forgot, I don't know who wrote it, but it was Are You My Mother? And I always would do the different voices of
Uh-huh.
the animals. I love that book.
I love that. No,
Do you know that book?
I do know that book, and that is such a beautiful, beautiful story. As it
Yeah.
goes around asking, that is a wonderful. It's always a favorite. I've always asked this long before I got into writing children's books, and I would ask this in interviews or when I'm interviewing anyone, just because I just my inner child is out, so I'm always like loving what people love for children's books as well, which is
Hmm.
awesome. Awesome. Well, this has been so amazing chatting with you. And as we're closing out, I just want people to know, wow, Judy, where can they find you? Where are you on social media? Where are you? How do they find the book? What's going on? What do you want them to know?
Well, they could always follow me at judyhutsonwrites.com on Instagram on there.
Okay.
And that's also the URL for my website, and my books are everywhere. Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Ingram, wherever you can get books, I'm there.
All right. And and we will be here with the journey, and because I tell you, meeting Johnny and the other characters have been, naive, wins I mean, oh, Lockwood, just all of your characters. I'm trying to remember them in my head. They were just it was such a fun ride. Oh my gosh, Judy. Wow. What an incredible conversation. Huge thanks to you for sharing your journey and your insights. If you have not picked up Judy Hutson's book, Spy Notes, what are you waiting for? I'm telling you, this is something you're just going to enjoy. It's a fun read. You will really have fun with it. Check our links below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment on your favorite takeaway from today's chat. Until next time, keep reading, keep dreaming, and keep sharing your own stories. Take care. Bye-bye.